Okay, hello Powell family, and welcome to Restore and Rewind, brought to you by the Grit and Grind program. Today you are going to need a few props. We're going to need a set of yoga bricks, a strap, or if you don't have a yoga strap, a woven belt works just fine, and then a blanket. So make sure you have all your props handy. You also want to be on a soft surface, so if you have hard floors, you might want a couple of mats or an extra blanket to put underneath the knees for padding. The goal is to find as much comfort as you can. So as you know, throughout the GRIT program, we are constantly go, go, go. So today is about the parasympathetic nervous system, finding the restorative, the calm, and the relax, since we find the fight or flight on the other days together. So go ahead and find yourself in a comfortable sit. Now, if we struggle with really tight low backs, you might want to take your blanket and slide it right underneath the tailbone just to kind of lift your sit a little higher. And that will help alleviate some of the strain in the low back. Gently tuck the chin towards the chest. You can keep the eyes open, softly gazing, or maybe you close them. We're just going to start with a couple of rounds of breath. So take a nice deep inhale through the nose. Let the entire body fill with air. And then exhale out through the mouth. One more just like that. And then stay with this breath for a few more minutes, just allowing the body to prepare to come into that restorative nervous system. Every aspect of our life, we engage the fight or flight sympathetic nervous system. So it's hard to find that moment where we're finding that relaxation, that restorative process. So I invite you to just try to bring your focus inwards for the rest of class today. We're not going to manipulate the breath the entire time. I just want you to notice how it feels with the deep breath. Practicing these breathing techniques, allowing the mind to calm and to try to stay present. The more the mind wanders, the easier it is to find discomfort and unhappiness. But with knowing that, grounding through the mind can also be a very difficult thing. So we practice and practice to get better, to be more mindful. And one of those grounding techniques is the breath. So go ahead and allow the lips to close. Stop manipulating through the breathing. Come back to your natural state and just take notice, the inhale and the exhale. Notice if your day's been hectic, maybe it's hard to quiet the mind. So allow the breath to be what grounds you. So at any point today, if the mind starts to focus on work or on household responsibilities or whatever it might be, stress, anxiety, keep bringing it back to the breath. And just take a couple more breaths, just really allowing the body to relax, to let go. Roll the shoulders a couple of times, rolling the shoulders up towards the ears. Take them back and then draw them back towards the back rib cage. Pull the shoulders down and back. Let your left ear fall to the left shoulder. If it's enough, feel free to stay here. If you want, we can extend the right arm out towards the side. And if you want a little more, we can take the left hand to the right temple and then just gently pull a little deeper, finding a bigger opening through the trapezius. If you took the left hand to the head, slowly release, and then just guide the chin towards the shoulder. So we're taking a slight variation through the stretch. Slowly release. Go ahead and let the right ear fall to the right shoulder. Extend your left arm out. And again, you can always take the right hand to the temple to add a little more depth through your stretch. If you added the right hand, slowly release and then bring the chin towards the ear. Feeling the stretch a little different. And then slowly release, roll the neck a couple of times. Notice if there's any little creaks, any tightness in the neck and the joints and the fascial tissue. And then switch the direction. And then slowly settle in. And then go ahead and bring one brick to the top of your mat. You don't need it quite yet, but we'll have it there for when we do need it. And then come all the way onto your belly. We're going to bring the elbows actually right underneath the shoulders. Take a nice deep breath here. And then make fists with the hands. We're just going to let the chest drop in between the arms and then pressing through the forearms, lift back up, pushing through the mid-back. So we're going to focus on spinal stability and decompressing through the back. We do a lot of jumping, a lot of push work in this program, so sometimes the low back can take the brunt of that, especially as the body gets tired. So make sure we're not lifting with the back. You're pressing and lifting through the arms, through those forearms. But you feel the vertebrae releasing and then stacking as we lift. Keeping grounded through your hips, through your thighs, through the tops of the feet. And then slowly release. Go ahead and grab that brick way up to the top. And we're going to place the forearms on the brick. Interlace the hands and then lift the chest, take up space through the collarbone. Stay really grounded through the hips, through the thighs, through the tops of the feet. You may feel the core before we feel the low back decompressing. Notice if we're shrugging the shoulders and putting tension in the upper body. Draw the shoulders down away from the ears and then press the forearms into the brick to find a little more height. Feel the low back starting to wake up. Stay really strong through the arms and the upper body to support yourself in this lift. And then really ground through your breathing. I already see Courtney looking around for Tony. Is she cuddling you? Just stay with the low back. A couple more breaths here. And then all we're going to do, and this will be Katie's favorite, like scapular retractions. So pull the shoulder blades together and then pull the shoulder blades apart. Pull the shoulder blades together. We're not technically like lowering the chest towards the block and then lifting back up. I want you to think more chest going towards the fingers as you squeeze those shoulder blades together. And then the chest pulling away as we round. So feel the mid back, the upper back really here. Stay really strong through those forearms. And if it's available to you to add on as we lift, we're going to reach one arm up. Slowly bring it in, lower. Lift back up, reach the other arm. Try to keep the arm in line with the body. Keep pressing through the hips, through the thighs, through the tops of the feet. Find a lot of length, a lot of extension here. And then slowly come back. Keep one elbow onto the brick. Take the other hand in front of the brick, flat palm. We're going to press through the palm and try to lift the elbow, keeping it bent, and then lower back down. The other arm stays locked out, nice and straight. Elbow slightly rotated towards the ceiling. After a couple on that side, go ahead and switch to the opposite side. Ground through the hand. Really focus on the mid back here. So bring both elbows back, switch arms. This time we're going to, as we lift that elbow, reach the arm up high. Bring it back through, switch, so plant the other elbow, extend the arm, reach up. And then keep alternating side to side. A couple more, just like that. And then on the next one, slowly release down. You can set your brick off to the side. Take a moment in crocodile pose, so just stack the hands. We can even release the head if you need to for the back, but just let the belly and the ribs find the floor. Take a breath here. Slowly release. We're going to bring the elbows back in line with the shoulders. Stack your hand one on top of the other. We're going to lift up to straight arms. Whatever hand is on top is going to sweep around towards the hip. And then back. And then lower back down. Stay on that same side. We'll do about 5 reps. Full extension through the arms. Sweep it all the way back. Sweep it all the way forward. Find some mobility through the shoulder. Triceps might be a little sore from yesterday. After about 4 to 5 on that side, just switch so the other hand comes on top. Press the floor away. Find that mobility through the shoulders. My shoulders are really tight, so it's hard. But really try to keep that hand as close to the body as you can. About 4 or 5 on that side as well. And then settle back in. This time we're gonna keep the elbows underneath the shoulders, but go ahead and make a fist with the hand. And we're gonna go from prone to high hips. So tuck your toes under. So we're gonna lift the chest just like we did in our first exercise. And then pressing through the forearms, we're gonna lift the hips over the knees. Stay for a moment, feel the opening through the lats, through the arms, the upper back. And then slowly pull yourself back through to prone. Drop the hips and the thighs. Keep the toes tucked under. Take your inhale, press through that fist, through the forearms, lift your hips over the knees. Put the head back in between the biceps. Try not to adjust the body here. So don't slide forward and back. Keep everything exactly as it is. So as you press up, don't move the arms, slide them back with you. Just sit the hips back. You'll feel the lats in the arms really a lot here. Really press to the forearms and through that hand. One more time, this time as we press back, hips over knees. Don't walk the hands back, leave them where they were. Hold and breathe. So this might start to feel uncomfortable in the upper body. Find your stillness. Remember how we came in the beginning, we were grounding with the breath. So you're holding the hips over the knees with this extended upper body and just breathe, no movement. Toes are still tucked under. Focus on how it feels throughout the lats, the muscle underneath the armpits, through the upper back. Beautiful job, stay with it, find stillness, no moving, stay in it, breathe. So we're in this position, hold, 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 hold. Slowly start to round the back to come up and walk yourself up onto the hands. So we're coming through tabletop. We're going to thread the needle. So take the right hand underneath the left, coming onto that shoulder and cheek. As you press up, we're gonna glide it towards the other side, lower onto the opposite shoulder and cheek. Pull back through, take it under. So we're just moving laterally, side to side. Opening up through the upper back, through the shoulders. Stay with your breath. Exhale as you thread the needle. Inhale as we root to rise. After a few on that side, we'll just do the exact same on the other side. So glide it underneath. And then extend it out laterally. Trying to get the shoulder and the cheek onto the mat. And again, do a couple on this side. And then whenever you're ready, slowly release. Up next, go ahead and grab your strap. You can sit on the heels or on your tush, your sits bones, whatever feels better for you. We're going to take this strap, hands maybe 6 to 8 inches wider on each side than the hips. Relax the shoulders down and back. Stay strong through the shoulder girdle. Inhale as we reach up, pull on that strap. We're going to find mobility through the shoulders. So through the shoulder socket, find that release as we lower down, letting that strap come to the tailbone. And then we lift back up, moving through the shoulder socket, finding that mobility. So as that first one, if it didn't feel super good, you can widen your grip. If you feel like you can, we can bring the grip closer, as that'll add a little more intensity. So allow it to feel good, yet challenging. So stretching should never be like super painful, but it's also not comfortable. So find that moment, that push when you're a little on the edge, you feel a little discomfort, but not pain, and then stay within that range. Try not to shrug the shoulders as we go through. We want to move through that shoulder socket. So I'll show you from the side. So what we don't want to do is shrug to find the lift. Keep the shoulders down and allow the strap to assist us to move through that ball socket. Keep breathing. You'll probably feel a nice little stretch to the chest as the arm moves through. One more. And release. You can set the strap off to the side. Go ahead and come into a child's pose. So if you're not familiar with that, knees a little wide, feet are together. Let the belly fall onto the thighs or in between them. Forehead melts to the floor. If it's not comfortable for the neck to hit all the way to the floor, you can bring one of your bricks underneath the forehead. This time we're going to reach the hands back towards the feet. Grab hold of the heels if it's available to you. And then let the upper back round as the shoulders melt to the earth. Come back to your breath. Take another breath here. And then slowly come all the way up. You're going to need your bricks and your blanket for this next one, but let's figure out where we need to place them first. So coming onto the belly, we're going to do a half frog on one side. So I'll start with my left since that's just the direction that I'm facing you guys. We're going to bring the knee in line with the hip. And then you want the ankle in line with the knee. So you have a 90-degree bend in the knee and in the hip. So what we're going to do is we're going to place the bricks right underneath the length of the shin with the blanket on top. So just get an idea of where the leg is going to sit on your mat, and then we'll get our prop set up. So once you have an idea of where you want it, go ahead and release, and let's get our prop set up. So the blocks are going to come right where your shin just was. The blanket is going to provide some extra padding. So if your blanket is super thick and you don't want extra height, you might want to unravel it once or twice and then get rid of any creases or wrinkles. And then we'll get ourselves set back up. So then again, let's bring that leg up, making sure the knee's in line with the hip, ankle in line with the knee. Make any adjustments you might need with how far the bricks are. Maybe you add another one, like if the foot is hanging crazy off and it's not supported. And then we're gonna rotate so the hips are square to the floor. So come back to that prone position we started with the back opening. You can make a pillow with the hands and then slowly lower the forehead onto the hands. Or maybe we cactus shape the arms and come onto the cheek. Our focus here is opening through the hip flexor, through the psoas muscle, right where that hip and leg come together. So keep the foot flexed. Make sure that knee is right in line with your hip joint and your ankle is right in line with your knee. And then really try to rotate this, for me it's my left hip, towards the floor. So if your left hip is open, facing towards the side wall, you can take your hand to the hip and manually rotate it towards the floor. And then you should start to feel the inner thigh and through the pelvic floor and that hip joint. And then allow yourself to find that stillness and settle in. Notice in some of these poses, the longer we sit in them, the more uncomfortable they become. So our first reaction might be to come out of it. But I invite you to, when the mind starts to want to come out of a pose, to find even more stillness and just notice how it feels. It's in these moments under pressure, just like in our fight or flight training, our sympathetic nervous system. It's those moments towards the end of a HIIT session where we want to stop that makes the biggest difference. So the same is true now. The longer we hold it, it might be uncomfortable in the hip. The more stress the tissue comes under, the stronger, more malleable it will become. So breathe through it, keep coming back to your breath. And just notice the mind too. Today is important, not just for the body, but for the mind too. If our mind is distracted and wandering and all over the place, our bodies can still be releasing that hormone cortisol, which is for the fight or flight. So we want to find moments of relaxation to restore and to work the opposite nervous system. So the body can restore to a neutral system, so it's not constantly under stress. Take another breath here. Without adjusting any part of the rest of the body, slide the hands closer and then just lift up onto the forearms. Walk them under the chest. Don't release the hip. Notice how lifting might feel a little different. You might feel the hip even more. We're gonna take, so for me, so if you're on your right leg, just do everything the opposite. For me, my left leg is on the bricks. So I'm gonna extend my left arm overhead and I'm gonna thread my right hand underneath my left. I'm gonna bring my left hand next to my chest and just scooch forward, so now I'm resting on my right hip. And then I'm gonna keep going until my chest starts to open towards the ceiling, leaving my left leg exactly as it is. And then extend my arms out like a T and find a gentle spinal twist. Now, if you notice this right knee starts to lift and fold, you can take your right hand to your left knee and just help hold that knee in place and allow the twist to come from the mid-back. As you extend your left arm from the shoulder like a T, notice how it feels to the shoulder through the chest. Slowly bring the left hand closer to the body, or the right if you're on the other side, whatever arm is extended. Bring it back to the front of the body, and then press to the hands to lift up, releasing that right leg. And we can leave the props exactly as they are. If you want, we'll just pivot to switch over and go on to the other side. So again, we want to do the same now on the other side. So now the right leg is going to come onto those bricks. At first, we want to get the knee in line with the hip, and then we want to get the ankle in line with the knee, making sure the entire shin bone is supported on those bricks. From there, we start to rotate so the hips are squaring towards the floor. So we might have to actually manually do it. So you might have to grab the right hip and rotate it down, and then come onto either the forehead onto the hand or cactus shape and come onto the cheek. Again, just notice the mind. If it starts to wander, bring it back to your breath. Allow the entire body to reset, to restore. Keep the leg and the hip exactly as they are. Walk the hands closer to the body. Lift yourself up just enough to slide the forearms underneath the chest. Keep the hips square to the floor so you feel a bigger stretch to that hip flexor. Whatever leg is on the bricks, that same arm. So for me, it's my right, extends overhead. Left arm threads underneath. Scooch the left hip closer to the right. Keep your right leg onto the bricks as you keep rolling onto the back, and then extend your right arm out from the shoulder like a T. If the back is really tight and the right knee starts to lift up off the bricks, place your left hand on the leg and just allow it gently to guide the knee back to the bricks. Slowly release the right hand next to the body. Keep rolling. Bring the right knee with you until you're all the way onto the back. Bring both knees into the chest and gently just rock side to side, massaging the low back. So we're now going to go into full frog, so a full expression of that stretch to really open up the hip flexors. So in a way that feels good for you, roll it up. So we're going to take the blanket, unless you have extra padding under the knees. We're going to take the blanket wide enough that it helps support the knees as we come into this. So if you're on a yoga mat, you'll probably want your blanket a little wider than the edges, because our knees can typically go wider than a blanket. Again, or than a mat, I should say. Get rid of all the wrinkles in that mat, smooth it out. We're going to take the knees to the outside wide edges of the mat. Go ahead and bring your foam bricks. We'll start on mid setting or high setting, depending on your hip flexibility. Flex your feet so the bottom of the feet are running parallel with the short edge of your mat. Make sure the hands and the bricks start right underneath the shoulders. Take a nice deep inhale, and on the exhale, you're just going to sit your hips back as close to the feet as you can. Once you start to really feel that hip flexor in that joint, hold, walk your bricks in again so they're underneath the shoulders, and then lower onto your forearms. So you should feel this big time throughout the hips. If you need to widen the legs and go a little deeper, if you need to feel it more, make any adjustments you need. Just allow the goal to be the inside of the knees are resting on the mat. The feet are flexed, running parallel to the short edge of the mat, and really focus on feeling it right in that joint. Try to not tense up in the upper body as the lower body is starting to wake up. So tuck the chin to the chest, let the head hang heavy. Relax the shoulders, relax the back. And again, focus on your breath. This can easily be one of those poses that we want to come out of pretty quickly. We're going to be here for a minute, so settle in. Notice as the lower body starts to talk more and more. Are we tensing in the upper body? We relax through the shoulders, through the neck. Notice the longer you're in, can we maybe widen the knees a little bit? Sometimes the body starts to adapt and it allows us to go even deeper into a pose or into a fuller expression. Breathe. Slowly lean forward a couple of inches. Bring the big toes together, letting the arches of the feet come up towards the ceiling, and then sit all the way towards the heels, releasing the hips a little bit, but you might still feel them fired up. Take a couple of breaths to allow the hips to start to reset, to return to neutral. Pull the abdominals in to round the spine. Press through the forearms. Bring the knees together to release. Cross the legs behind you to have a seat. You can set your bricks off to the side. If you haven't already taken your blanket really wide, go ahead and take it there now. And then we're going to roll it up into like a burrito. So really, really roll it up. You don't want to lose all your filling. Keep it nice and tight. And then you're going to place that on your mat if you were laying down right where your shoulder blades would be. So then coming towards that little tiny bolster you just made with your blanket, you might have to hold on to it so it doesn't unravel underneath of you. We're going to place the shoulder blades right on it. So make sure right where the rib cage and the shoulder blade come to meet is on that. And then slowly drape yourself over it so the back of the head comes to the mat. And you feel this big expression through the chest. Without moving anything else, bend the knees, feet flat onto the earth. Lift your hips and scooch yourself even more. So now, without having rolled the blanket out, the blanket glides closer towards the ribs and the shoulders are completely over the blanket. From there, cactus shape the arms. It's okay if the forearms don't make contact with the earth, just let them float in space. If you want to keep the knees bent, that's fine, or we can extend the legs out straight. Or if this supported back bends too much with straight legs, we can always sit crisscross. Or if you want to keep working on the hips, you can butterfly the legs by bringing the bottom of the feet together. So choose a lower body position that supports you, but our focus is going to be on the back bend and on this chest opener. So once you settle in, you find what works for you. So you feel the stretch, the front of the body. Come back to your breath. Notice how it feels. Maybe you can slowly feel the forearms getting closer and closer to the floor as the chest starts to open. That's your fascial tissue stretching, lengthening. That's a good thing. That's how we release joint pain. So if you notice you're getting deeper and deeper in each stretch, the longer you hold it, that's exactly what we want. But if that doesn't happen to you, you're really tight, that's okay. Don't force it. Keep practicing with these stretches, with foam rolling, all that stuff to allow the body to restore. The more limber the fascial tissue and the muscles, the better your workouts will be because you'll get a fuller range of motion. Fascial tissue and muscle becomes stronger, allowing us to get more load in our workouts. So these style of workouts really complement each other. For example, when I first got in this, my forearms were not touching the floor, and now they're completely on the mat. Just stay with your breath. The body knows what it's doing. It will do the rest. So don't overthink it or force. Oh geez, this class is almost over. This class goes by so fast. I still have 2 more stretches I want to do, so let's slowly come out of this. Slowly bring the arms back in towards the body first. Wherever you took the legs, bring them back into their bent position, feet flat on the earth. You're going to bring the triceps or the elbows towards this little bolster we made with the pillow and use that to push yourself up, and then slowly keep coming all the way out of it. You might need to take a moment to reset. Maybe the chest feels really open right now, whatever you need. You don't need your little man-made bolster anymore, so you can set that off to the side and then come all the way onto the back. So our first one's going to be just a simple figure 4 to hit the outside of the glute. So left ankle on the right thigh. Reach through, hug either behind the right knee or on the outside of that shin. Pull the leg close to the body and feel the left hip opening. Keep the legs in towards the chest, but release the hand. So if you were with me, your left leg is on top of the right, left ankle on top of the right thigh. We're going to let the legs fall off to the right side. Use your right hand to gently pull the left knee closer to the mat. Listening ears on. Use your left hand to grab the right foot to hold that in a stretch. I'll rotate this way just so you can see. And then keep the chest open towards the ceiling. If reaching for the right foot is not comfortable, it's not there for you today, totally ditch it and just cactus shape or extend the left arm out like a T. Not necessary. If it doesn't suit you, don't do it. If you took hold of that right foot, slowly release. Let go of the left knee and then bring the legs back through center. And we'll transition to the other side. So release that left ankle from the thigh. Right ankle on top of the left thigh. Reach through, grabbing either behind the knee or the outside of the shin. Hug it into the chest. Feel the right hip opening. Keep the legs exactly where they are, but release the hands. Let the legs fall off to the left side. Left hand grabs the outside of the right knee to gently pull the inner thigh towards the floor. Right hand grabs the left foot and pulls the heel close to the glute. And then both shoulder blades find the floor and the chest stays open towards the sky. Slowly release the left hand from the right leg. Release the right hand from the left. Bring the legs back through center to release. Hug them into the chest one last time. Gently rock side to side. Tuck the chin to the chest. Start to roll forward and back until we roll all the way up to sit. Hopefully Courtney didn't roll on top of Tony. We'll circle through the neck just like we did when we started. Go ahead, switch directions. Come back through center and we'll finish with just 2 rounds of our cleansing breath. So take a nice deep breath, inhale, let the entire body fill with air. Exhale audibly, side out. One more time. Let it out. Thank you, Powell family, for joining me for your Restore and Rewind. And until tomorrow.